All right, I hope everybody had a healthy, meaningful, and somewhat playful lunch. If you're me, the game was to see how fast I could put pizza in my mouth. So I win. I got it all in. But now we're back for something I've been really looking forward to. As we mentioned before, we gave away this book. It's going to go. Your book's going to Canada, Kat. I'm super excited to hear. Kat Schrier is the associate professor and director of games and emerging media program at Marist College. I'm pretty sure that Kat and I have met somewhere in the game studies or game design world, but I can't place her. But regardless, I'm really excited about this book and this presentation because this is a really comprehensive deep dive into using games in a very specific context. And I think there's a lot that we can learn from not just in general how to play in education in general, but kind of what it looks like when you break it down. So we've challenged Kat to come today and to talk a little bit about her work and to maybe get us to play. I think maybe she's going to stick her neck out here. So let's have some fun. So take it away, Dr. Schrier.
Hi, everyone. First of all, everybody can see my slides, can hear me, just making sure, thumbs up. All right, awesome. So, all right, so yes, there will be a little bit of a surprise participatory action later on. It will be a risk. It will be possibly experimental. I may fail. We may fail together, but it'll be fun. But I want to talk to you a little bit about using games for a specific purpose, and that is for pro-social needs, right? So often we hear about games being, causing all of these societal ills like addiction and violence and harassment and hate. And I want to look at the other side of the possibilities that we could use games for, and that is for transforming not only ourselves, but maybe even the world around us. And so a little bit about me, just so you know. By the way, if you ever have any questions or you ever want to interrupt, please feel free to just interrupt or write in the chat. I'll try my best to watch the chat, but please please ask questions and stop me if anything sparks your imagination. So here are some books that I've written on games and learning. I've been trying my best to explore this open space of using games for empathy and compassion and care for the last 20 years. And it's always this kind of question that I have in my mind, like, are games the problem and the solution? Like, could we think about using play for solving some of the world's biggest problems, even while there may not be the most perfect, the most, maybe not always the best way to interact, just like all of our communities and all of our spaces. There's negative aspects, and there's, the cruelty of life. And then there's also the positive, the connection, the care, and the compassion. And so today, I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about using games for those more positive means. So that thinking about ethics, thinking about compassion, thinking about bias reduction, thinking about learning and empathy. And I'm always curious, like, if anybody's out there, like, have you played any games like this? Have you used any games like this? Have you thought about, and you could type it in the chat too. Have you ever used a game to maybe think about reducing biases or exploring our own biases or exploring our identities in some way? And it doesn't have to be, by the way, it doesn't have to be a digital game. It could be like a quick, either a board game or like a quick game that you do in the classroom. Anybody use a game like that? This War of Mine. Oh, wow. Okay. So this War of Mine is also a digital game. So that's really interesting. Depression Quest. These are great examples. I'm loving it. Okay. Ooh, Barn Go. That's a really good one too. Yeah. These are great. Oh, wow. So awesome. So I can see the chat as it comes through, but for some reason can't get back to the chat. So if I miss your game idea, I'm sorry, but these are amazing suggestions. I'm glad that you're using these games already in your classroom. I love it. Yes, definitely like different ethical theories as applied to games. Bafa, I don't know that one. That sounds really interesting. I love this. These are really good suggestions of games. Awesome. Great. Well, I'm glad that you're already doing it. So this is fantastic. So, just to take a step back for people who maybe haven't um, been, thinking of games like this, I always think about the idea that, playing is learning, but playing is also civics, right? Playing is a form of civics. It's a way that we understand our world. We understand how we share resources. We understand how we govern ourselves. And so that to me is a really important part of play, is really thinking about how we shape our world and how we create the world that we want to live in. And so just to give you like a really big overview background for people who haven't used or thought of games in this way, I know I'm probably speaking to a crowd of people who already know all of this, but different ways that games might be supporting a playful and personal connection with a problem. They can help people make active and meaningful choices. For example, making ethical choices that, you could be in a situation where you have to make an ethical choice and then see the consequences of that choice. They help you relive and perform stories directly. So for example, right now I'm making a game that's being developed, and we are using this game in Nigeria to help people understand what it's like to be from other ethnic groups that aren't their own. So there's over 250 different ethnic groups in Nigeria, and there was a recent civil war, and there's still a lot of tensions that have emerged among these different ethnic groups. So we want to support bias reduction, empathy, and understanding of the discrimination that different people face. So for example, you might be playing the game as someone who's Hausa, even though you personally are Yoruba, and then you're understanding what it would be like to be someone who is Hausa and facing the kinds of discrimination you might face as someone from that background. And so again, games can help players take on new roles, right? So they're taking on the role of being someone who's Hausa, inhabiting other people's perspectives that may not be something that they're used to doing, right? You're kind of playing with another perspective and seeing through their eyes. It also helps us understand systems, right? So we get to play with managing different resources, trying different variables. So this Nigerian game is being developed right now. So I'm writing the script. I don't think we have a name yet, but hopefully soon we will be releasing it, probably in the next year. But it will be like focused on, it's being created for Nigerian youth. So I'm hoping that we can scale it so that we can have people from around the world play it to understand the Nigerian experience. Yeah, and then also exploring our own identities, right, and our own emotions. Like games help us to play with different parts of our identities, and to help us express emotions and to understand others' emotions. It also enhances motivation, right, to tackle information. Like for example, today, every day I go through these sight word flashcards with my 6-year-old, and it's like super, I'll be honest, it's boring. Like we just have to go through these sight words and he has to learn them. So today I tried to make a much more playful approach to doing that by having adding points. So to each one he got right, he got different points. If he got it wrong, negative points. Very simple game. But then it helped him with math, right? So adding points, it helped him with subtracting points. And then it also helped motivate him because he really wanted to do well, because if he got a certain amount of points, 50 points, he would earn some jelly beans. And again, very simple, very, but it ended up motivating him so much that he also performed a lot better than he normally would, right? So maybe he got 20 words wrong yesterday when I did it like the traditional way, but today he only got 5 words wrong. And so it got him like super enthused about wanting to tackle this information. And then, there's a lot of times that we deal with serious topics in games, and that might be surprising, but I'll show you some examples soon. But, everything from medical care to tackling topics like suicide or depression. Someone mentioned depression class. So these are serious topics, but, a lot of times games are seen as less serious, right? They're seen as not very, they're like the opposite of serious, but they actually can be quite serious. But also the fact that they're seen as more playful lets us almost tackle things that maybe are so intense, so hard for us to handle in a more open and vulnerable way. Cool. And the software package. Well, so there's a ton. So someone asked about what's a good software package to use. So you could use anything from pen and paper, which pen and paper is what I start with pen and paper, to all the way up to tools like the Unreal Engine or Unity, right? So these are like these big game engines that, or you could create your own game engine too, like customize a game engine. I mean, there's lots of different tools. A lot of companies make their own engines, but I would say, starting with things like, Scratch or Twine too, which is like a good tool for interactive storytelling. Or is there a link to this presentation? Well, I will send the presentation to anybody who is interested. But I'm going to show you that you do not need any tools to create a game, because you can create a game just with your mind, right? So we'll do a little activity later, and you'll see that a game doesn't have to be made to be fancy at all. But there are tools out there to make digital game creation easier. So lots of different games that are starting to be created to tackle some of these more serious topics. And one of them is Quandary, and that is a playful way of thinking about ethics. And you're in a new society. It's called Braxos. You have to solve problems that your society is facing. And to do that, you have to evaluate the perspectives and opinions of the different people in Braxos. So you have to go out and interview them and find out what they would do. And then you have to build your case for what you want to do based on this evidence. And it's not like there's like right or wrong answers. It's more about like how you build your case that matters. And so I think that's like a really, really cool way of using play to teach ethics. Sweetheart is a really awesome game. It's an indie game, which means this isn't, and all of these games, by the way, that I'm showing you right now, these are not like big budget games. These are smaller games made by smaller groups of people. So this is called Sweetheart. It's made by a woman named Kat Small. It's about the experience of being a young Black woman who is navigating the workplace and school and even the journey to all of these places, and the kinds of microaggressions that she faces as a Black woman, and how that affects her. Like you can see at the top left, there's a meter about her stress level in what she's doing. So that's a really cool example of a game where you're making different choices and seeing the consequences of those choices based on the kinds of microaggressions that you face. All right, this is a game called Kind Words. And this is a game that is like very simple. You're quite literally writing letters, kind letters, to people out in the world. So what'll happen is you, let's say you have a problem, right? And like, for example, like when I played this game, I was in the middle of writing my book, We the Gamers. And so just so you know, someone asked, are these free games? Quandary is free. The Sweetheart is free. Kind Words, I believe, is not free. So I just want to let you know I will be showing some more free games though, but those first two that I showed you are definitely free, and I'll send links to anybody who's interested in those games. So with Kind Words, I was in the middle of writing my We the Gamers book, and I was nervous about it, right? So I wrote like a little letter in the game, and I said, I'm nervous about writing this new book. I don't know if it's going to be good enough. I don't know if I'll ever finish. And I sent my letter off into the game. And then within a week, I had a bunch of letters, like real letters written by anonymous people, writing back words of encouragement and literally kind words back to support me in my endeavor of writing a book. And so that's what the game is all about. You basically are responding to letters that other people have written and giving them encouraging words, and then getting letters back from your own issues and problems and things that you want, that you're facing. And so it's just like a really sweet, kind, and compassionate game. Okay. All right. This game is also free. This is called When Rivers Were Trails, and it's about the Anishinaabe people, right? And they, it's like taking you back into time. You're taking on the role of someone who is Anishinaabe, and you are, it's the late 1800s, and you're facing having to be removed from your land, and it's the historical context is the Allotment Acts that moved Indigenous peoples from their land. And so you're actually having to go on a journey away from your land. And along the way, you're learning about the culture and the language and what it's like to be to be removed from your land. And so you're getting that first person perspective in this point and click adventure game. All right. And then, okay, so I've been showing you digital games, but games do not need to be digital, right? They can be created by you, created by your own kids and your students. And so this is a game, Common Circles. This was actually developed during a game jam of high school students. So high school students developed this game. And basically what it is, it's a card game where you play with other people, and you have to try to figure out what kinds of things you have in common with different celebrities. And so they have all these different cards with different celebrities, and you're trying to understand the commonalities among you and these celebrities. So again, it's like thinking about your identity and exploring it in relation to other people. Okay. And then, so I've been talking about like more indie games, but even like big top popular sellers can have different ways that they support pro-social and inclusive and civic understanding. So this is Animal Crossing New Horizons. It is a game that costs money, right? This is like one that I know a lot of you are excited about. So like, again, like you're probably thinking, well, like I know Fortnite and I know like the Minecrafts and like, by the way, like Fortnite and Minecraft can have I know it's surprising to hear, but like could have educational purposes too. But Animal Crossing definitely has as its like ethos a supportive environment. You're designing your own island, you're visiting other people's islands, you're planting flowers, you're collecting critters. You really are like designing yourself, and you're designing who you are based on how you've developed your island. This is like an image from my own designed island when I was like, it was like the beginning of the pandemic when this game came out. So I'm like wearing a mask. I'm, I've got like fun Easter balloons, I've got lots of flowers around me. This is like reflective of who I am and the things that I care about. And then I look at like, for example, my daughter's island, and it's reflective of what she cares about, right? So in her house, when you walk in, it looks like an aquarium, and it looks like there's like fish everywhere, and she's designed it in the way that she expresses herself. And then I design mine to look like a library because I like to be, sitting in the middle of books and feeling, comfortable that way. So this is like a cozy game where you get to know yourself, but you also can connect with others. So, all right, let's see what I got next. Okay, so definitely any other examples, please list them there. I'm always curious to hear what kinds of examples you all have, but I'm going to try my best, and this, this could be interesting, but we're going to try to do our own little game here, and we might have to make it up on the fly. We might have to redesign it and revise it as we go, and that's okay. So we're gonna try. All right, so I'm gonna stop sharing my screen. Let me see if I can do that. All right, stop share. Okay, so this is what I need you all to do. And by the way, I totally get that you may not want to do this. So if you want to participate in this game, you have to turn on your camera. Okay, so let me see how many people want to participate. Turn on your camera. It doesn't even have to be on your face. You could turn it up like this. But you have to at least be able to be seen. And again, this is an experiment. We are playing this together. We'll see how it works. So let me see how many people we've got. Okay. So all right. Okay. So turn on that camera if you want to play. If you don't want to play, then just keep it off. That's totally fine. It's really up to you. But I want to. Don't worry about how you look. You all look beautiful and clever and magical. Everybody looks amazing. I love all the smiling faces. All right, so and the heart that could help in this game. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. We are going to. How am I gonna do this? Okay, I'm gonna put you into groups. Let's see. We've got. Let me just count how many. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. So keep those cameras on if you want. All right, so we have like about 25 people. So I'm going to put you into maybe I'm going to do four groups of 6. We'll see how that goes. Okay. So I'm going to like really quickly call off your name and tell you what group you're in. What I would recommend highly is that you write down who's in your group. Okay. So because again, I've played this game in person, but I've never done it in Zoom. So this is like an experiment. So we're like, write down the names of the like 6 people that are in your group. All right. All right. So, and I'm going to get these names wrong. So I'm sorry in advance. Okay. So, Kyan, or is that right? Kyan, I'm sorry. All right.
But whatever.
All right. Kyan B, Coral K, Lisa F, Andrew D, and Jacqueline M. You are one group. Okay. So just, see who you are, figure out who you are, and note you are in a group. All right. Now, next group. Katie T.
Can you
David
repeat who's in the first group?
What?
Can you repeat who's in the first group?
Sure. Of course. I'm sorry. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. Okay. Yes. Thank you, David. We've got Kyan B, Coral K. Thank you, someone who's writing these down. Thank you. Andrew D and Jacqueline M. You are group 1. Okay. Group 1. All right. All right. Katie T. All right. Yeah. Thumbs. Oh, I like the thumbs up. David T. Right. You see. Okay. Alejandra A. Or is that, I might have said that wrong. I'm sorry. Okay. Got it. Thumbs up. Good. Chelsea. All right. Angela C. You are group 2. All right. Yes. Right. I like this. You're already like competing with each other. This is good. All right. Jessica H. All right. I'm trying to look for the people of their videos on. Julia S. Wendy. Melissa B. And Sharon P. You are in group 3. Hopefully I'll get these groups to be somewhat about the same. Okay. All right. Gurman G. Mary J. Nikki, I don't know your last name, but it's Nicky. And then Jessica W. Is Jessica W? Is that a video? No, I can't tell. No. Okay, forget. No, Jessica W. I think the video is off. Natasha, is your video on? Okay, you're moving. Okay, sorry. Natasha, the nurse. Sorry. And Joan B. You are group 4. Okay, so that was Gurman G, Mary J, Nikki, and Natasha, and Joan B. Group 4. All right, thank you for your patience. Group 5, Maggie T. All right. Reagan C, Alyssa B, Christine. Oh, some more people joined the video. This is great. Christina, you're all kind of curious. Jacqueline L, you are group 5. All right, we move to group 6. Denise L. Oh, I'm gonna mess up this name. Kessa or Kisa W. Okay, and we've got Alexander C, Stephen C, Julia R. All right, that's 6. And then last but not least, 7. This is going to be 7 groups, so you're going to really have to work hard here to win. John H, Kim D, Shirley C, Ellen or no, sorry, Eileen. I can't see. That's why. Eileen W, Leanne G, and then hold on because I see a couple more. That's group 7. All right, so Andrea P, I'm going to put you in group. I'm going to put Andrea P into group 1. So I'm going to put you back in group 1. Okay. So it's going to be a little tricky. Maybe I should make another group 1. We only have 3 more. So I'm going to have to kind of, some of the groups are going to be a little uneven. And no one else wants to add, right? No one else. We got, ooh, wait, okay. Sharon P. Okay, already, okay. So make sure no one kind of adds or, adds or detracts because we got, okay. So Vanessa R, I'm going to put you in group 2. Okay. And then Edrelin, sorry if I'm pronouncing that, Edrelin A. Lucas. Edrelin A. Lucas, I'm going to put you in group 3. Okay. And then did I miss anyone? Wait, is it reach? No. Okay, is anybody missing that I haven't called? Is there someone that I accidentally forgot? I mean, I'm obviously not in my own group. Is there anybody that I forgot? No? Okay. Here's
Would
what
you
I
add
want.
me, Lucia Berkey?
Oh, Lucia. Oh, I'm so sorry. Lucia, I don't see your video on. That's why.
Can I do it without video?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I'm trying to think. How could
Oh, gotcha.
I don't
Didn't
think you could.
realize.
I don't think I don't think we could. I'm so sorry, Luke, but you could watch, okay? I don't think
cool.
for
Thank
this
you.
one, I don't know, maybe there's a way to do it, but I don't know what it would be because people need to be able to see each other for this. Okay. All right. So here's the rules. I need everybody to pull out, see this notebook, just like rip out piece of paper. Everybody get a piece of paper and get a pen of some kind. Okay, so have a piece of paper that people could see. All right. And so everybody get a piece of paper, have it, be holding it, be ready to do something with it. Okay. So the first thing I need you to do, and I make sure you know who's in your group. You got to really know who's in your group, right? And then you cannot use any talking. So no speaking. You can use the chat, you can gesture, and you can use your paper. But I want you to be either the first group, and I'll tell you when to go. You either need to be the first group who has all X's on your paper, or you have to be the first group that has all O's on your paper. But you need to work with your group, somehow gesturing to your group which of those, whether it's an X or an O, that you will be. And if you're the first group to do that, if you think that you're the first group that you're doing, we're not doing it in a breakout room, we're doing it right here, right here. That's why it's hard. That's why it's difficult. You can't use any talking. Okay, I'm trying to make it tricky, a little trickier. Okay, so no speaking. You have to either somehow gesture to your group. Okay, all right, just like thinking about gestures you would use, or you could use the chat with your group to try to tell you whether you want to put an X or an O on this. Have it being held up as the first group to do that. And if you think you're the first group, Then you can talk and say us, shout it out. Okay, group, whatever group your name is, 1, 2, 3. Okay, you ready? Set, go.
We got it.
All right, who said we? Who's got it? Who thinks they're
Champions
first?
group 3.
Group 3.
Yeah. Alejandro, hold yours up. We had it. Katie has hold yours up.
Wait, that's group 2. You mean group 2?
Or group 2, whatever. Yeah,
All right,
group
so
2 even
wait,
better
so
than group 3.
Katie, David, Alejandra, Chelsea, Angela. Yes, all of you
Yes.
have an X. All right, you are the winners. Good job. All right, now we're going to make it a little harder. We're going to make it a little more difficult. How did that feel so far?
Hard.
A little hard?
We didn't realize, like, after we got our X's or O's, what do we need to do? I mean, I think my group 4 had it all, but
Oh, you had it 4. You were the winners?
we
Okay.
just kept quiet.
Okay, no, so make sure you stay, once you get, so once you all think you've got it, then you have to say something. Then you're allowed to talk, okay?
I see a Reagan in group 5, but for the life of me, I couldn't find Reagan in the chat.
Oh, no, okay. It's Raygan. That could be why.
Wow, thank you.
Okay, I'm going to give you guys a tip. This is a total cheater tip, but you can rearrange your video windows on Zoom. So you can put your group where you can see everybody.
Yes, sneaky. So there are ways to make sure that you can all see each other at once. Good.
Which Jessica is in group 4? There's a couple of you.
Yeah, so Jessica in group 4. So this was kind of like a test run, right? There's a Jessica in group 3. So let me just read through the groups again, just so everybody knows. Group 1, Kai and B, Coral K, Lisa F, Andrew D, Jacqueline M, and Andrea P, but that's Andrea spelled Andria. Group 2, Katie T, David T, Alejandra A, Chelsea, Angela, and Vanessa. Group 3, Jessica H, Julia S, Wendy, Melissa B, Sharon P, and Edreline Lucas. Okay. Group 4, Gurman G, Mary J, Nikki, Natasha, and Joan B. Group 5, Maggie T, Reagan, spelled Raygan, Alyssa, Christina W, and Jacqueline L. There's 2 Jacquelines. Okay, 6, Denise L, Kesa W, Alexander C, Stephen C, and Julia R. 7, last but not least, John H, I can't read my handwriting, Kiru D something, sorry, let me see who that would be. Kim D, I can't spell, okay, I can't read my handwriting. John H, Kim D, Shirley C, Eileen W, and Leanne G for group 7. Does everybody know who's in their group? Do we want to try that again, or do we want to make it a little harder? No one's answering. You can talk now.
Harder.
So
Harder. Okay, we're gonna make it harder. All right, we're gonna make it harder. I want you to turn your sheet over now. Okay, turn your sheet over. Now, what I want you to do, okay, is I want you to do the following. So some of you have 5 people in your group. Some of you have 6, doesn't matter. I want you to do the following. I want you to figure out, you're going to need at least one of each in your group. Okay, so you're going to need at least 1 star written. Okay, so like maybe I should write this down for you. So at least 1 star, at least 1 heart, at least 1 tree, and at least 1 sun. Okay. Okay, so as a group, you're gonna have to use using gestures, using emojis, using any kind of things that you can use while being silent. You have to decide, since you have some of you have 5 or 6, some of you can have 2 hearts, and but you need at least one of each. So you have to have at least 1 star, at least 1 heart, at least 1 tree, and at least 1 sun in your group. Okay, so you have to figure out who's going to get each of those symbols and hold it up. And when you hold it up and you know you've done it, then you can shout out your name of your group. Okay, are you ready? Does everybody understand what to do? I see nodding, some thumbs up maybe. All right, and go.
I'm gonna be bold and say Team 5's got it.
That was that quickly? Team 5?
Yes.
Team 5. All right, Team 5. We've got Maggie T. Where are you, Maggie T? Maggie T. Well, just tell me, like, Maggie T, what do you got up? You've got, I can't see what you have.
got
A
a
tree.
tree.
Okay, Reagan, what do you got? You can talk, it's okay. Oh, you have a heart. Okay. Alyssa B, you also have a heart. Chris.
Oh no, we have too many hearts. We messed it up.
All right, so that's okay. You could have 2 hearts, but as long as you have all the others. Christina, what do you have?
Yeah, that's where I messed up. I got a heart too.
Uh-oh, okay. Okay, no one's a winner. Keep going. You gotta tell me what group. You gotta tell me the group.
Team 1.
Team 1. Okay, Team 1. Kai and B, what do you got? Can't see it. A sun. Okay, Coral, what do you got? I can't see. Where's Coral? Where's Coral? Ah, a star. Okay, Lisa, you have a star also. Andrew, what do you got? Where's Andrew? A heart. And Jacqueline M, you have, I can't see what you got. Do you have a tree? I hope you have a tree. Can't see. It's a tree. All right, group 1, you are the winner. Okay, good job. All right, now we're gonna
My
do.
toddler would say the sun is a star.
That's true. You're right.
He's not here, so
There's a star and then the sun. I know. They are the same. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, maybe those were too similar. I was trying to figure out which ones would be easy to draw. Okay, so now there's another round. Now what I want you to do is I want you as a group, now that you have, each of you should have a heart, or there should be at least. So if you didn't have at least one of those, cross out whatever you got, and that group that had 3 hearts, cross out whatever it is, and make sure you have a tree or something instead. So I want every group should have at least one of each. And now the next round, you're going to have to decide as a group which of the symbols gets eliminated. Okay, so how are you going to decide that? No speaking. You have to decide if the heart, the sun, the tree, or the star is the one that gets eliminated. Okay, are you ready? All right, go.
Group 6 got it.
6?
1, 2. I mean 2.
Oh wait, 2? Oh, 2? Okay, 2. Which one did you eliminate?
We eliminated the star.
Star. All right, so all the stars, turn off your camera.
Oh.
Everybody who's a star, you gotta turn it off.
In all the
Everyone,
groups?
in all the groups.
In all the groups. All right. Anybody who's a star, gotta say bye-bye. All right. And now whoever's left over, you've got to pick another one to remove. As a group, you have to decide which symbol are you going to get rid of. And shout out if you've got it.
Group 2.
Group 2. Okay, group 2, who did you get rid of?
The heart.
The heart. All right, that means all the hearts. Everybody who's a heart, turn off your camera. All right, now I want you to, as a group, decide who do you want to remove? You've only got 2 left. Decide. Just shout out if your group.
Group 3 says sun.
All right, group 3, you decided on the sun. All right, sun, turn off your cameras. All right, so that means what we have, just have the tree left, is that right? All right, trees, you're the winners, but at what cost, right? You've lost all the rest of your partners. So if you want, you can turn back your cameras, but you can also, you can see how, imagine if it wasn't like the tree who, or the sun, or the hearts or the stars that you were excluding, but you were deciding who to exclude, people from a certain group or certain identity, or people who, from a certain background. And how that felt. And I don't know, does anybody want to share how that felt playing that game? You can turn back your cameras on now if you want. You don't have to. But does anybody want to share?
I'll say I thought it was chaotic and it took a long time to try to figure out how to arrange it, but I was
Yeah.
still having a really great time.
Oh,
And
good.
all of the like mechanisms that we normally turn to communicate, I just couldn't figure it out. So I felt really challenged.
Yeah, no, I know. It's like the usual ways when you would talk to people and to try to strategize together were cut off, right? So that could be, like someone said, frustrating. It could be hard. It could be confusing. Good. Okay. How am I? Anybody else want to share?
I
Maybe
learned
feel-
you can make more emojis from Stephen Kane.
Yeah, definitely.
Thanks, Stephen. Everybody in Zoom meetings with me will now know all the emoji.
Any other thoughts about it?
Yeah, I was thinking about the groups that were really fast and how decisions were made, and it just kind of reminded me of Barnga and who gets to make the decisions and decide for the group, and maybe that was really efficient, but I felt like in some groups, if we were like, okay, are we going to do this or this, that took too much time and probably led to our demise.
Yeah, I mean, that's a really good point. Like, who do you defer to make that decision, and how do you collectively decide? For sure, that's a really good point. Good. Someone else I think wanted to say.
I was going to say, when it felt like it was competitive, I think it was fun and we were all doing it together. But once you started to say that we were being the people excluded, it was like that context was like, oh, we're in kind of a big hurry to get rid of people. So kind of
Yeah, I mean, that's a really good point, David. I made this game actually exactly for that purpose, which was to show people that a game, played one way could make you feel more like a team, like that you're working together, that you're collaborating, that you're caring about each other. And then, changing the rule of it, changing it to like, who do you exclude? Suddenly that group that you were like expecting to collaborate with is now deciding to like turn against you. And how does that feel? That very different feeling of, now I'm feeling excluded, and that feels different, and yeah, Lisa, like that idea of like whose voices get to decide, right? Who gets to be included or excluded.
I never felt included from the beginning because I can't move an image from one screen to the other. The click and drag won't work on my computer. So I can see Natasha, but nobody else in my group.
Oh no, I'm sorry. Yeah, when I play this, it's usually in person with a big group. this is my first time doing it in Zoom. I tried really hard to figure out how we might be able to do it. And I'm so sorry that it was frustrating for you, because I'm sure that, you know, it's just like the technology just is not perfect for playing sometimes.
But it's good to be reminded that some people will feel excluded, even if you're trying your best to include everybody.
Yes, exactly. Right. So even though the game was being able to be played by some other people, right? Some people are, you know, it's not always going to be accessible to everybody. Right. So that's a really good reminder that our games are, you know, even if we think we've designed them for everybody, right? It's not always accessible. And that's why this is, you know, you play test, right? So this was my, you could call it first time play testing this game. And you were all part of that experiment, and you were all part of giving the kinds of feedback that you would need to maybe redesign it, to make it more inclusive, to make it more accessible, to make it make more sense for your audience. Good.
Control Command Space.
Sorry, what was that, Sharon?
I'm still learning how to do an emoji. Sorry.
Got it. Yeah. I mean, right. Like we're still like learning these technologies. Good. Yeah. I mean, it's definitely sometimes like chaos. Yep, exactly. Like people who have different impairments, different abilities, different disabilities. All of these things are going to affect the way that they can participate in the kinds of play that we want to create. Good. Any other thoughts? How might you change this? What would you do to make it different? What would you do to make it better?
I wanted to say that I really like this game and I teach online a lot. I probably would, this doesn't really have to do with the point of the game, but I probably would break people up into breakout groups first, have them write down each other's names and then bring everybody back. So at least you know.
Okay. Yeah. That's a great point. Like putting them into breakouts first, getting them to know each other, see each other, get to know, and then like bring them out and do the game. I love that. Yeah, that's awesome. Any other ideas, or how might you change this? Yep, Danette said something about you know, if they're your students, you already can pre-assign them into groups, and they might even already know each other a little bit, or this could be like an icebreaker.
Hi, if I may, I'm a clinical nurse educator, and I can foresee using something like this when we have new resident nurses fresh out of school, when we're trying to get to know them and to know how much skills they're coming to us with. Especially throughout the pandemic, a lot of these schools are not giving them clinical time because they're keeping them out of the hospitals. So this would be an interesting way to say something like, I mean, it would be very different, of course, but more like pick certain skills and just start shouting, okay, those of you who have done this, raise your hand, and then put them in a group. Those of you who have done so on and so forth, just to kind of get a temperature check on skills that they're coming to us with, because we're struggling a lot with that currently right now.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great point. You could put people together based on skills. I mean, I was thinking like, how would I put people into groups? Like, because it took a while to put everyone in a group. I was thinking, should I just put everybody with like a red shirt on in a group, or like a, you know, a white shirt on? I didn't know. I wasn't sure how it was going to do it. And I didn't know how many people were going to turn on their cameras, right? So that makes it a little bit more tricky. So that's a great way to do it, like based on skills or based on interests. Those are all awesome ideas. Good. Yeah.
If you have, I mean, it would add a different complexity to the game, but you could do it by interest and just like pre-select a random number of like images and have that coincide to a breakout group, and have students join the group by interest. And you might have groups of varying sizes, which could like, you know, add complexity to the play. If one group has more members, they have more people to get on track. But that's also another life lesson, because sometimes we're juggling larger things, smaller things than other people. So it can still relate, I guess.
Awesome. Yeah. So that's a really good point. They don't even have to be the same size groups. They could be all different. They could be based on interests, and that's awesome. Any other suggestions? Usually when I do a game like this, so I'll get suggestions from my students on how to fix it. And then I say, okay, let's play it. Let's try it. Let's see what happens. And so when I do this in my classroom, I do it slightly different. I have everybody take a piece of paper, and they decide to put an X or an O on their paper. And then I put them in maybe 3 or 4 different rows. And then I say, okay, you have an X or O on your paper. You have to figure out how to be a row that has all X's or all O's by trading with people either in front of you, behind you, or next to you. And so they have to trade until they become the row with all X's or all O's. And then in the next round, I say, okay, now you have to, if let's say the X's win, okay? And then in the next round, I say, okay, if you end up with an X at the end of like the music, like one of these, kind of like hot potato, right? So you don't want to end up with the X in your hand, but you have to keep trading. You have to keep trading with your partners. You can't hold on to your X or O for too long. So they have to keep trading. And then whoever ends up with the X is the loser. And so then they talk about like what it's like in the first round when you're playing as a team and you're trying to strategize together on being all the X's, versus the second round where you're really more of like an individual and you have to just like try to get rid of that X. And sometimes students will like kind of cheat. They'll be like hiding their X when they're trading it. And so they start to think about like how just a simple rule change and just a simple way of changing an X to something you want to an X to something you don't want really makes a completely different system and a completely different feeling for them. And then they start to make we start to make other rounds like, okay, now what can we do? Oh, maybe we have to have like a certain amount of like equal X's and O's, so then we try that. So then we keep changing it. So I tried to make I'm like, how could I make a game like that? That would work through Zoom where we only see each other and we have to kind of all be, X's or O's or, thinking about like, how do we exclude, something or someone and what that feels like to suddenly be excluded in a game. And again, it doesn't need to be this like full digital game. It could be something much more simple and straightforward. All right. Any other thoughts or questions? So know we're running out of time.
I had a quick question for you, Kat. In terms of the balance of the discovery that happens during the play versus the conversation or the debrief that happens after, is there a balance or does it just depend? Or would you prefer that the conversation happens inside the play, or is it okay to have a quick, simple little game that generates an hour-long debate? Or
yeah, I mean, I kind of go with the flow. Like sometimes I'll play this, I'll do this exercise in class. I'm usually doing it in my ethics and gaming class. And sometimes the students will come up with like a lot of ideas of how they might change that game. And then during the debrief, we're coming up with ideas and then we play them, and we try to put into action like some of those ideas that we have. So like, for example, someone said, oh, why don't we go into breakouts first and then come back and then we know our group and or like, let's do it by interest. We could have tried that, if we had more time and we had more ability, we could have tried those different, adaptations to see how they work and see how they feel differently. And then we continue to give feedback and remark on those changes and how it makes us feel and how it changed the system in terms of feeling support and love and care versus feeling competition and, intense and stressed and frustrated. Because there's so many different ways that play can spark emotions, right? There's a question in the chat from Danette. It says, do you have any active learning activities you've used across different modalities? Is this just for like, I didn't know if this was specifically to me or for all, for everyone, but I'm teaching online right now, and I'm using both synchronous and asynchronous techniques. And I'm actually teaching through something called Discord. Not sure if anybody's heard of it, but it's a platform like this where you can use video and talk to each other, but it includes breakout rooms that always exist, right? So you have a bunch of channels that you can kind of jump into. There's both text channels and video channels. So there's some places where you can write, and then there's some places where you can talk and chat with each other. And you can also do the same kinds of things like sharing your screen. So in that, I create all kinds of games because, you know, it's a different kind of platform and we use different kinds of play, you know, both to still learn the platform, but then also to engage in the learning material, right? So for example, I actually had my students create Escape the Discord server games. So they actually made their own Discord server, and then they created their own different channels and used video and used all different kinds of ways to create an escape the room game in that. And so there's ways that you can like lock and unlock channels, and there's different different logic you can add. So they were actually able to make this whole kind of escape the room with Discord. But I'm sure a lot of you have other awesome ideas that you can share. Any other questions? Because I know we're almost out of time. One thing I do want to add is that, you know, having your students design their own games is a really great activity. Having them design with you. So and I can just maybe just share this really quickly. Like, I know we only have like a minute left, but let me see if I could just share it. Okay. All right, so we've already done this, but I wanted to just show you that I've created guides for having what I call a game jam, which is like a hackathon or a quick, sometimes intense creation of games where students or even game professionals, any people really, are working together to create a game in a very short amount of time. And so I created some principles that you could use in games if you wanted to create a game for empathy and compassion and care. This guide, by the way, is totally free. You can download it at the link provided, or I could give you the link afterward. I also wanted to show you that I'm also running these game jams in Nigeria, where they're actually working with professionals to create their own games about identity. So that's a really exciting new project that I'm working on in Nigeria. And then I just wanted to give you my my information so you can see that. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Keep in touch, and thank you so much for having me.
I love that. Such a great example of creativity and innovation and just trying things out in front of your students. Maybe it doesn't work.
Yeah,
I really
right?
love that.
Like that happens a lot, like things don't work, or I like on the fly will like change things to make them work better. Kind of like improvisation, I guess.
Yeah. And I think students really appreciate that. I think sometimes they get a little weary of the polished professor. So I appreciate that. And I think this is a good example too of earlier we were talking about using play and games to talk about serious topics. I think this is a great example of that. Thank you so much, Kat.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm putting the link to my, someone put it in there, but yeah, it's the link to my book is Games for Civics, or there's another link there too for it. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a great day. See you soon.